Hi everyone, it's Kim Bopney, the Vagina Coach, and in this video we are going to do 6 exercises, 3 work and 3 rest. We have a balance between effort and ease, which is required for optimal pelvic floor function. So we will be doing some exercises that will help activate and ignite the pelvic floor, and we will be doing some exercises that will help release tension so that we can find optimal balance, which will allow your pelvic floor to work the way that it should to do all of the jobs that it has to do. Let's get started. So we are going to alternate between a work and a rest. The first exercise we're going to do is cat-cow. So I want you to come on to all fours. You're going to have your knees underneath your hips, your toes are going to be tucked, your wrists are underneath your shoulders, and we are going to curl into angry cat, and at the same time we're going to be activating the pelvic floor, and then we will extend into cow, and that's where we are going to release the pelvic floor. Okay, so we're going to inhale and expand and look up towards the ceiling, sending our sits bones up towards the sky. Now we're going to exhale, engage the pelvic floor, and curl up into angry cat. Inhale. Exhale. We're going to do 10 reps here. Exhale, engage. Inhale, lengthen, sending those sit bones back. Exhale, engage. Curling up. Inhale, lengthen away. Spreading those sit bones apart. Exhale, engage. Imagine those sit bones now gathering, coming closer together. Inhale, blossom your butt cheeks. Exhale, sip a smoothie through a straw with your vagina as you draw up and in. Inhale, lengthen, letting go of any tension. Exhale. Gather the 4 points, pubic joint, tailbone, sits bones. Inhale, those 4 points, open and spread away from one another. Exhale, engage the pelvic floor, curling up. Inhale, lengthen away, nice, slow, controlled movement. Inhale, lengthen. Let's do one more. Exhale, activate the pelvic floor, curling up into angry cat. Inhale and lengthen. Now we're going to go into a wide leg child's pose. So what I want you to do is take your knees out, if you have a yoga mat, out towards the edges of your yoga mat. Bring your toes together behind you. And now instead of just sitting back with a tucked bum, I want you to do similar to what we just did where we want to extend. So blossom the butt cheeks. Think about those sit bones reaching up towards the ceiling as you settle your bum down onto your heels. Then you're going to walk your hands in front of you. You can put your forehead down on the mat if you like. For some of you, if you want a little bit more support, you could put a stack of towels underneath your chest or a bolster, and you can rest your forehead on your hands. You can have your arms outstretched. You can have your arms down on the side and either forehead or side of the head on the mat. It's up to you. I like the added sort of stretch, side body release that I get when my arms are stretched out in front. And here we have a nice stretch that's placed on the perineum, on the pelvic floor. And when you take your breath in, you'll feel your belly inflate into the tops of your thighs. If you have a bolster there, you'll feel it there as well. And bring your attention to your pelvic floor. So the space in between the sits bones and the tailbone and the pubic joint. Can you feel when you breathe in, like there's a sense of fullness that happens? There's almost an expansion that happens there.
So we're not adding the core breath here. We're just inhaling, feeling the expansion, and then just exhaling, allowing the air to leave the body. No activation of the pelvic floor. This is meant to release tension. We're going to gently roll ourselves back up, and now we're going to come on to our side, and we're going to do a clam. So I'm sliding myself down. I'm going to rest my head on my shoulders, well, on my arm here, and I've got my hips stacked, my knees stacked, and I want my feet stacked as well with my heels in line with my bum. So I don't want my knees out here at 90-degree angle. It's about at a 45-degree angle. Feet are going to stay pressed together. The movement is to lift that top knee away from the bottom knee and then lower back down. So we're going to exhale and then we're going to activate the pelvic floor first. Then we press the leg or lift the leg up, and then we inhale, release the pelvic floor as we lower that leg back down. Okay? So we're really working on those deep hip muscles, so glute, med, and minimus here. Building up some stability and control in our lateral hips. And you want to make sure that you're only going up as high as you can without opening the body up. So we want to keep those hips stacked on top of one another. You can take your fingers and press into your groin here. So here's my hip bone, come in a couple inches, down a couple inches into your groin. And as you activate your pelvic floor, you should feel a little tension underneath your fingers. And then when you inhale and release, you feel like it softens. Tension and release. That gives you a sense of that co-activation of the deep abdominals, the transversus, when you activate your pelvic floor. So that's a good thing. If you wanted to make this a little bit harder, so whether you're ready for that today or in another week or two, you could add a resistance band around your legs to add a little bit of tension or resistance for your legs to press up into, make it a little bit harder. And let's do two more. Last one. And now we're going to switch and do the same thing on the other side. Starting to feel a little bit of a burn here on the outside of those hips. You don't want momentum to take over here. We want to be nice and purposeful with the movement. So nice, slow, controlled movement, typically a count of 2 up and 2 down here. Really focusing on releasing and letting go of the tension and the activation in the pelvic floor as you lower that leg back down. Let's do 2 more here. Now we're going to go over onto our back and we're going to do the rest phase here, or the release phase, and we're going to be doing figure 4. So we want to stretch out those lateral hips. So I'm going to take my left leg and cross it over the right knee. I'm going to flex my foot. This might be enough for you. You could also apply a gentle bit of pressure to the left knee and get a bit more of a stretch there. If you feel like you need a little bit more or want a little bit more, you can reach through, hold on to the back of that leg and pull your legs in towards your chest and use your left elbow to press the left knee away from you. And again, no activation here. It's simply breathing and enjoying the stretch. If it feels too much for you, back off, because when we have too much tension, when it feels too difficult, it can influence our breathing and actually contribute to us tensing up, which counteracts what we're trying to accomplish. So if this feels too much, drop it back down and stick here. And just make sure that you can breathe controlled and that you're not holding your breath. You can also do figure 4 in a seated position if you like. Because we were already on the floor, this seemed like the logical place to do it, but you could sit on a chair and have your legs in this exact same position. And let's switch and do the same thing on the other side. So my right ankle's crossing over my left knee, keeping that foot flexed. And now, again, I choose here, or if I want a little bit more, I can reach through and use my right elbow to press that hip out. For the last work exercise, we're going to stay pretty much where we are, and we're going to do the bridge. And I'll show you a version with pelvic tilt first, if that's something that feels better for you. And then we will also do the bridge exercise. And then we're going to end with a final release in Happy Baby. All right, let's do our last little bit of work. Allowing your feet to come down on the floor. In bridge, you want your heels to be in fairly close to the bum so that your shins are vertical. When your heels are further away from your bum, it emphasizes more of the hamstrings. And for the purposes of what we're doing today, we want to focus a little bit more on the glutes. So I'm going to bring my heels in. Hamstrings will still be involved. They're just not going to be as dominant. You want to make sure you're in a neutral pelvic position. So you want to check where your pubic joint is in relationship to the hip bones. If your pubic joint is up higher, you're in a tuck position and your back will be flat against the mat. We want to nod that pubic joint forward, so arching the back to the point where the pubic joint and the hip bones are in the same plane. Okay, so you can put your fingertips and just take a quick peek. I'm in my nice neutral pelvis, and now I'm going to start from here and end from here. So I'm going to activate my pelvic floor on my exhalation. Then I'm going to lift up. Then I'm going to inhale, release my pelvic floor as I lower back down, and I'm arriving back in that neutral position. The other option is to do a pelvic tilt first up into a bridge, and then come back down and then roll out of the pelvic tilt. You could also just do the pelvic tilt. So you have a few different options here. I'm going to do the bridge. You can pick your option. You can either do just pelvic tilt, so you would activate pelvic floor, press your back into the floor, inhale, release. You could then, so that's option one. Option two, activate the pelvic floor into the tilt, up into the bridge, inhale to release, and come back down. Or option three, you can exhale to activate, press up into the bridge, inhale to release, coming back down in that neutral position. So the pelvis isn't moving. We're just lifting the hips off the ground and activating those glutes. You can feel the tension, feel that activation in your glutes. Okay, here we go. Your option. Inhale, expand. Exhale, activate. Press up. Inhale. Release down. Exhale. If you wanted to make this harder, you could apply a sandbag or hold a dumbbell on your pelvis to add some resistance. You could also hold a resistance band over top of your pelvis so that you're pressing up into that resistance band. You could also do one leg. So extend a leg out, press up. This is a little bit more advanced, and you want to make sure you don't have wobbliness. You want to make sure that you can stay nice and controlled throughout the movement. And then of course you do the same thing with the other leg as well. So I'm going to stick with the two-legged version today. Let's do 4 more here. And last one. The work is done. We're going to end now with happy baby. So happy baby pose is where you have a couple options. You can hook your index and middle finger around your toes, or you can hang on to the outside of the foot. The choice is yours, and you can do one leg at a time. So this might be enough for you. You can try extending the other leg down. If you feel like you would like to do both legs at the same time, again, you can do fingers hooked around the big toes, or you can grab onto the outside edges of the feet. And we want to draw those shins. So think about drawing your knees downwards towards the floor, and you want to try, instead of letting the bum lift up off the ground, you want to try to keep your tailbone, your sacrum, in contact with the floor. And for some people it might feel good to rock. So you choose what feels best for you. Doing a nice stretch here. Nice release of tension in the pelvis. A place that we hold a lot of tension. Unbeknownst to us, a lot of times we hold tension there. So it could be in our neck, could be grinding our teeth. A lot of people clench their pelvic floor, and doing release poses like this can allow blood flow, circulation, release tension that might contribute to pain. help relieve symptoms of prolapse or incontinence, help the muscles work better and respond to all of the demands that it has throughout the day. So hugely, hugely beneficial. All right, I'm gonna lower my legs back down and we are done. So that is your pelvic floor work rest routine for the day. Thanks so much for working out with me today. If you enjoyed this video and would like more whole body workouts for pelvic floor function, please check out my Buff Muff app. I've got the link in the description below. It is free to download for Apple and Android. It is full of free resources, but also there is a paid membership for people who want access to everything that I offer. All of the workouts, all of the meal plans, all of the education and guest experts, everything that will help you live a full, healthy, pelvic floor centric lifestyle.